I feel like we're getting, like ignoring people on the side, so I'm gonna.
What do you find most rewarding being authors? I thought that would get a quick answer.
I think it's actually, I would say it's twofold. And I can't answer a question. Surely, I divide my existence into like writer and author. A writer is when you're actually at the computer or at your pad writing, and then the author is things like this. So I have an answer for both of those. A writer is when I write a sentence or I go back and read a sentence that I've written and I think that actually works. Like there's no better feeling in the world to me when I think that I've actually articulated something or nailed something, and 97% of the sentences I write in books that come out, I don't feel that I've made a perfect sentence, but sometimes I do. So that's, on that end, the most satisfying moment, when you actually think in all the chaos of the universe, you've actually crafted something that works. And then I swear to God, I'm not fucking pandering, because I'm not a fucking pandering kind of guy.
Clearly.
I also curse a lot. But things like this, like when you actually had he's so saintly.
People in my book say things that I don't say. It's true.
I know. I was so embarrassed when I was like, cocksucker.
Okay, let's talk about something else.
Exactly. Okay. So at the risk of sounding like a pompous cunt, it is actually, it's just too much fun and it's so easy. It's things like this, and emails with fans, and I've stopped.
Is it over?
Yeah. And emails with fans, when you actually interact, because when I was a teenager, if you liked a book, you had to like find an address for a publishing company and write a letter and mail it and hope that you got word back, and it's so changed now. So the author part of life is so interactive.
You really can't answer a question quickly.
Well, I digressed a lot to say words like cocksucker.
I remember. Yeah, for me it's just the relationship I have between with my audience. I don't really, I love reading and I love writing, but I mostly love having written something. All the parts that come after the writing are a lot more enjoyable to me. You know, I write because I want to talk about stuff that interests me with people I like, and I can't do that because I live in Indianapolis. I have to write books. Yes.
Who wrote the line, "History doesn't have a curfew"? Who said that?
Were there uppercase letters in your
Me!
Great line.
Thank you. The second one that I really liked, and I actually, Facebook, David, we acknowledge that being the person God made.
They probably won't be able to hear you unless I read it.
No, it's...
You try.
Yeah.
We acknowledge that being the person God made you cannot separate you from God's love.
That was me.
Yeah.
I'm the really religious one, so that makes sense. That would be me.
I love it because we decided...
I appreciate it. I mean, yeah, we wrote the acknowledgments together, but David wrote most of them, and then he said, "How does this look?" And I said, "Good," but we don't have to do this if you don't want to, but he said yes.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah. Yes, you.
Okay, John, you said that you don't like most of your books, but for both of you, which one of all the books you've written is your favorite?
It's a 4-way tie for last. No, I mean, I thought that I'm not proud of my work. It's just that, like, you can't look back at it and say, like, well, that was a work of genius. I know people who do that, and I hate them. A, I hate them. B, the work of genius they cite is inevitably their worst book. I mean, Mark Twain thought Joan of Arc was his best book.
Okay.
My lord. I mean, we've written better books than Joan of Arc, frankly.
I found the ending of that one depressing.
No suspense either.
I love what you play because it was the first, and I love it. And Nick and Nora too, I mean, in many ways. But I kind of like all of mine. I don't think they're works of genius. I hate social imagination, but I do have it's a pretty high threshold that if I'm actually willing to put something out in the world, I have to be liking it a lot at that moment, because because the computer is full of other ones that will never see the light.
Mine too, yeah. Yes?
One of you described the plot of the book as shaped like an X, and I've actually heard other plots of other books described in a similar way with other geometric figures. Is that a common tool that you use?
I thought that it was just me, but then it turns out that it's also David. I don't know about other people, but yeah, I used to think that that was just me. But yeah, in my head, all of my books have specific sort of narrative shapes, and yeah, that comes to me pretty early on usually.
I just need it because my books with Rachel are a zigzag, because we alternate chapters, so it's a very different dynamic. It's like, zigzag. And so I wanted this collaboration to be very different from that, so that's where the X came in. But it was something that from the very beginning we knew. It would be awesome, I was saying it would be awesome then to just be like, and our next book will be shaped like a toe.
Slowly we will like tic-tac-toe. Over the course of 400 years.
Yes?
This question is for David about the stylistic choice of not capitalizing things. Is that a character-related choice, or to differentiate the chapters that you're alternating? Can you just talk about that?
Yes, it was both. It was mostly because, when I hear from most of my friends and most of the people who read my books, they tend to write me without capital letters. And I felt that this character, part of him, he is like totally, again, he has this I am boyfriend, he's totally in that world, and it just seemed that if he was expressing himself, he wouldn't use capital letters. And so that was something, even before I think my next thought was, oh good, and he's probably going to use capital letters, so this will delineate it, but it was actually the voice that made the lowercase first, and it was easier to get into the voice because of the lowercase, and the dialogue is done in I am form, and that, again, was because that's just how the character would process it. But it was definitely a very deliberate choice, and it was one that our editor wasn't very happy with, but, and other people who read it were like, this is distracting, and I was like, you don't spend enough time online. Like, people can't read words without capital letter. Oh yes, they can. So it worked pretty well.
Lots of questions. Yes?
You said on the live stream that Tiny Cooper was one of your favorite characters.
Yeah.
How you created him.
How did I create Tiny Cooper? I was sitting in my mother-in-law's basement in maybe 2006, and I was writing, and I wrote the words, Tiny Cooper is not the world's largest person, he's not the world's gayest person, and etc. And that was it. I don't know, I have no idea why I wrote down those words in that order. But I have a very specific memory of being in that basement and writing that and thinking, here we go. Like this is something. This can be sustained for 10 pages. I like this guy. I'm interested in this guy. I want this guy around. And I love best friends. And I knew I wanted to write a friendship, a book about a best friendship between a straight guy and a gay guy, because I'm so interested in and bothered by the sort of romanticization of all love and the sexualization of all love, and the fact that there's no legitimate love between humans unless it's romantic, and you're not a full person until you have a boyfriend or whatever. And that bugs me, and it was bugging the hell out of me at the moment because I was reading Twilight. And no, that's not a joke. And so I knew I wanted to write about two guys, but then I don't know where Tiny Cooper came from, but I'm very grateful to him.
Yes.
Are any of your characters inspired by people you know?
Well, Tiny Cooper was obviously inspired by me.
Like Pudge, for example.
Well, yeah, Pudge is inspired by someone I know who lives inside my head. Yeah, but no, aside from that, most of my characters, my Hassan in Abundance of Catherines, probably modeled fairly closely on my friend Hassan. Although,
Did he pick up on that?
yeah, and he was mad. Like, Hassan is probably the most likable guy I've ever written, right? He's funny, charming, garrulous, and